Hello everyone, Dan Mason here. Let's explore another issue with a Paul Wallis fan together. So here we go. Hey, here are Paul Wallis's own words and claims. Some are from interviews, books, and podcasts. These aren't cherry-picked rumors, they're things he's actually said. Then I'll show how they compare to scripture and logic. Real quotes, statements, by Paul Wallis. 1. From Escaping from Eden, his book, many of the tales describe extraterrestrial aliens, ETs, and their interactions with early humans. For Wallis, recognizing the aliens hidden in plain sight within the Genesis myths and legends can help liberate us from powerful contemporary actors who use religion to infantilize and enslave the rest of us. 2. Also in that same source, he suggests that the plural Hebrew term Elohim is correctly translated not as God, but as sky people, the powerful ones, or the engineers. 3. From a podcast with Truth Seeker, he discusses ET, hybridization involving humans as well as the UFO, alien abduction phenomena. 4. From Aliens in the Bible, the Elohim are real alien beings, Spreaker episode. The episode description says, Paul Wallis says that there are aliens in the Bible. The Elohim are real alien beings. 5. On hell. In one of his discussions, he said, I found that it wasn't Jesus taught about Gehenna, and in that verse, he's actually warning people about Gehenna. Gehenna was the rubbish tip outside of Jerusalem. Now I'll show how those claims run into trouble with logic and scripture. 1. Elohim means sky people, ETs. Logical issues. He takes a word in Hebrew that is plural, Elohim, and insists it must refer to literal extraterrestrials. That's a category error. Plural form does not automatically equal multiple physical beings from space. Hebrew grammar uses Elohim in plural form even when speaking of the one true God. Context matters. Biblical issues. The Bible never anywhere explicitly says that Elohim refers to aliens. The consistent usage in Genesis, Exodus, Psalms, the prophets, etc., is compatible with monotheistic belief. Also, Jesus affirms Old Testament revelation of God, not alien engineers. Taking Elohim to mean ETs contradicts how the early church fathers interpreted Scripture, and contradicts the plain reading of texts like Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. 2. Genesis as memory of alien colonization rather than divine creation. Logical issues. This is speculation without archaeological, historical, or manuscript evidence. He's interpreting myths or legends as encoded history of ET encounters. That's reading in modern categories into ancient texts. Biblical issues. Genesis presents creation, fall, flood, etc. in theological categories, attributing them to God. Paul Wallis treats them as literal history but reinterprets them in secular or sci-fi frames. Scripture expects that revelation of God via creation, not via aliens. Romans 1 says God reveals himself through what is made. It does not hint that revelation came via extraterrestrials. 3. Hell, Gehenna claims. Wallis says Jesus did not teach about eternal torment as commonly understood. Instead, he argues that Gehenna was a literal rubbish tip outside Jerusalem and that Jesus used it metaphorically. YT Scribe logical issue. Even if Gehenna was a rubbish tip, using metaphor does not eliminate future judgment or give license to spiritual consequences. Jesus used many practical images. Biblical issue. Jesus uses Gehenna in multiple passages, e.g., Matthew 5:29-30, Matthew 10:28, Mark 9:43-48, to warn about judgment, separation from God, spiritual destruction. Paul and other New Testament writers describe final judgment. The concept of eternal consequence is woven throughout. To say the common doctrine of hell is entirely wrong pits Wallis's interpretation over multiple authors and centuries, often ignoring how early churches understood hell. What darkness he means and why it's problematic. By darkness, Wallis seems to refer to unseen, suppressed truth. That religion has hidden things, that early texts were mistranslated or manipulated, that there have been ETs that influenced or even oppressed humanity. Essentially, he paints darkness as ignorance built by institutions. The problem is that he conflates questions, translations, legends, myths with conjecture, aliens, suppressed ET contact, and treats them as equally proven. He pushes mystery over clarity, suspicion over faithful textual work. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment to support this channel.